Hello everyone, this is Lemon Pledge Total War, and today's video is going to be talking to you about a new possible weapons team Doomstack for the Skaven. So far in the testing I've done on my last two live streams, this new Doomstack is cheaper, which means you'll be able to recruit more of them. It is the same difficulty in terms of recruiting this Doomstack versus the Doomstack for Jezzail's, rattling guns and plague claw catapults, and it's as strong, if not stronger, against all different types of battles you may fight, whether it's against cavalry, flying units, single entities, monsters, infantry, you name it. This Doomstack can do it all. And so what's the Doomstack going to consist of? Well, as you see, this certain Doomstack is 5 Warp Lightning Cannons, 6 Warpfire Throwers, 4 Plague Priests, 4 Engineers, and 1, which this is the important part, it has to be a Warlock Master. It will not work with a different Lord leading the army. So how do you get it to be so cheap? It all comes down to trait farming the Warpstone Hoarder trait, which reduces Warpfire Throwers and Warp Lightning Cannons by 12%. And so I have 6 of those. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that brings it up to 72% in upkeep reduction. And then this Lord himself, which is what this will explain why you get the Warlock Master trait. You get 15% in Quartermaster. You have 8% for Renowned and Feared, so you're at 23%. And then this skill point here is an extra 15%, which brings it up to a total of 38%. So if you take 38% from the Lord himself and the other heroes providing 12% each, and you have 6 of those, so 72 and 38 equals 110% upkeep reduction for your Warpfire Throwers, and it's about 98% for the Warp Lightning Cannons, because this skill point here doesn't actually affect them, but it affects everything else in the army. And the only reason why they aren't free now is because of the very hard difficulty supply line increase. But you could put in more Warpstone Hoarder heroes in the army to increase that upkeep reduction. So I have 1 Cunning Lord, and then 1 here, I think that's just the Confident trait. So I could put those in there, but the problem you run into after 4 Warlock Engineers, you could do Plague Priest, there's nothing wrong with that, but it just gets repetitive. And so I actually would prefer to get like 2 Cunning traits in there to increase my ambush success chance. And the next part of the video will explain why you don't need to go more than 4 engineers in the army. Because each of these, even though they're not at level 40, all of them have the 3 points put into the arms dealer and triangulation. So the missile strength is being increased 12 times 4 is 48%. You're getting 80% extra ammunition, and you're getting a 32% increase in your reload reduction time, which all affects your missile strength. And then, speed's nice. It's not essential, but it is nice. So if we look, this is on par in terms of speed as the same as Empire's Reichsguard. Which, it's an infantry unit that can run at the same pace as a cavalry unit, which is pretty insane. The other thing that you get, which buffs this even more, in Scryers, which you can get in any Skaven faction, but you obviously get the 10% range, which this one does not stack, but you get 10% range from Ballistics Instructor in the weapons team Forbidden Workshop. You get an extra 10% missile strength. you get some fire resistance and armor, which, okay, cool. But then you get which it doesn't tell you, but you get increased range and anti-large for Warpfire thrower units. And so even though it'll tell you, it's anti-large, if you look at the missile strength, it gives you a bonus versus large, as well as, explosive and armor piercing damage. And so even if, some cavalry or single entity units get through your lines, these will still be able to handle these pretty effectively. And if we look at the damage here, a lot of it is because you're able to reduce the reload time by quite a bit, which, again, I don't suggest putting in another engineer, because the animation will only allow you to reduce it so far, and I think you can only get it down to 2 seconds anyway, which it's just not possible to get it any lower than that. But here, I believe, I'd have to do, again, more testing, but I believe these cannons are actually reloading at that 4.6% interval, because it doesn't, the animation allows for that to actually occur. And so it's essentially shooting 2 shots every 10 seconds at this rate, and then when you get on the battle map and you do the reload skill, it reduces that time even further, and it also makes it more accurate. And if you look at it, it does armor piercing. It should be the bonus versus large is insane. And if you again go to part 2 of the live stream of this, you see these guys completely wipe out Lewin Leonker in a couple shots. Like, it doesn't even matter. You don't have to ever worry about avoiding a certain lord because of certain resistances they have, unless it's extreme. But he just gets shredded by this by this combination of this Doomstack. The next thing that it also is on par with, which may even be better, because you don't have, like, if we go to Ikitclaw's army, I only have 2 Warlock Engineers, so I'm not able to cast as many Howling Warp Gales as I would be able to in this army. But crowd control, you have the same amount, if not more, crowd control in this Doomstack as you do in the traditional Doomstack, because you have a Arcane Conduit in your Lord, and then you have 4 more in your Plague Priest here. So you have 5 ways of generating more magic just from that. And then you also have the Menace Belows from the Plague Priest that are going to be your, on the ground crowd control. And then you have your Warlock Master or your Engineers that will be slowing down any flying units that you deal with. And so you're able to, if you again watch the live stream or join the live stream I will be doing of this campaign tomorrow, you will be able to see the amount of crowd control you have is at the same level, if not more, because it requires less micro, in my opinion. And my micro is terrible. I'm fairly new to Warhammer 2. I'm fairly new to streaming. But I can tell you, as someone whose micro is nowhere near where it should be, I have less micro intensity with this Doomstack than I do with any other one. And so, again, overall, to summarize all of that, I know it's a lot to kind of look at. You need the Warlock Master. You need 1 point into Weapons Engineer, 3 into Quartermaster, 1 into Renowned and Feared, and then trait farm the Warpstone Hoarder trait. And that combination of 38% for the Lord, and then 6 with the heroes will get you to 110%, which will, bring this reduction to almost less than a Skaven slave unit, which I'm curious to see. That Warpfire thrower unit is cheaper than Skaven slaves right now. It's at 49, and if I go to this army over here, it's at 44. These Warpfire thrower units are cheaper than a Skaven slave unit, which is insane. And therefore, because they're so cheap, you're able to afford more of them. You're always going to be able to get more Warlock Engineers and Plague Priests because of, for one, you have the Bell Polisher that will always increase your capacity for Plague Priests. You have the increased capacity with the Warp Turbine Plant. You can increase the capacity for them with Undercities. And so if you take a look here, I only am using 14 out of 40 for my Plague Priests, and so I'm only using 9 of 12 for my Warlock Engineers. So you don't have to worry about you might be thinking like, oh, you know, if you put that many heroes into one army, you're gonna, you know, you're not gonna be able to create that many. Yes, you will. You have the means to create as many of them as you need. And you may not even put 4 in the army. You could only do 3, and I guarantee you, you will still see the same results. And so, as long as you have the Warlock Master providing the 30% upkeep reduction, you have 6 heroes providing the 72. This will be cheaper than a typical weapons team Doomstack using Jezzail's Poison Wind Mortars or Rattling Guns. And this army can still handle any infantry that is coming at you, any cavalry, any single entities flying or on the ground, or any lord coming at you. It is, in my opinion, so far, hands down, the weapons team Doomstack to use. Which tomorrow I will be live streaming this campaign again as well, and so we'll be able to put this further to the test against the Empire. And unfortunately, we won't be able to do the High Elves because if we check, the High Elves are almost completely gone in this campaign. The Order of Lore Masters are the only ones still here, but we'll be able to test it against the Stegodons and single entities that the Lizardmen have, and as well as the Dark Elves with the Hydras and Charybdis units. So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me, comment on the video, comment on the live stream, or just join the live stream that I will be doing tomorrow of this campaign, just showing this even more. And if enough people like it and think it's good, I may even send it in to see if Legend of Total War will rate it and see what he thinks. But yeah, I hope you guys, you know, gain some knowledge out of this. I hope you test it out for yourselves. Let me know what you think. Again, feel free to email me, which you can find my email on my channel at Lemon Pledge Total War. Let me know if it works out for you. Let me know if you have any improvements you think you might have. But until then, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you tomorrow with the live stream. Later.